Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 5 of the Daniel Ricciardo series. We're at Little Rissington, the second time we've been here in the series this year. Slightly different conditions, it has to be said. We were here in the baking heat earlier on in the calendar back in July. We're now here in, well, the sun's shining at the moment, but it is an overcast day due and potentially some rain this afternoon as well. We're here just outside of Cheltenham, old RAF airbase, wide open, fast flowing circuit here at Little Rissington. And earlier on this morning, I headed out to have a look at the challenges that the drivers face here at Little Rissington. Welcome to the Daniel Ricciardo series. We're here at round 5 at the historic Little Rissington circuit. The second time we've been here this season, and certainly a lot more things for the drivers to consider in terms of the weather this weekend. Let's go and have a look at the circuit. Rissington is renowned for the fact that it's a power circuit. It's quick, it's fast, it's bumpy, it's quite coarse. The curbs here are fairly aggressive, it has to be said. If you have a look at they call them the sausage curbs in Formula 1, very similar, big drop-offs between the curb, the top of the curb and the bottom. So drivers, will want to try and avoid these curbs whenever they can and try and keep it on the black stuff where possible, while still maintaining the apex, right on the inside of these fast corners. This is the first corner, they call it Paddock Bend here at Rissington. They come off a very, very fast right-hander up the start-finish straight. You probably see most of the overtaking in here, but it's quite high speed and drivers have to make sure they carry as much momentum as they possibly can on the way into the next couple of corners. We're here at turn 2, and for a circuit that looks really flat, we're on an old airfield as we said earlier, for a circuit that looks really flat, there is quite a lot of undulations here. At turn 2, the circuit actually drops away from you to the outside, and you can also see this morning these wet patches on the circuit. So at the moment there is a dry line, there's a dry racing line for the driver, so we expect a slick tyre. There is some rain forecast, and this just gives you an indication of how the circuit changes. Wet line on here, dry line here, and you can see the change in the colours. So drivers will want to stay on the racing line where possible, but when they are having to come off the line to overtake, could cause them some problems in terms of the amount of grip that they get. And on the exit of turn 2, drivers are in a real hurry to get the car back over onto the right-hand side of the circuit. Now that's a tough thing to do at high speed, and with the camber sloping away from the drivers as well, makes it really tough. So they have to manage their speed on the way through turn 2, get the car right back over onto the right-hand side and into the right racing line, ready for the loop. And this is the loop, long left-hander. It seems to go on for ages, this corner. You're holding on with that steering all the way through the corner. You're trying to just catch the apex on the exit there and try not to roll too wide as you swing back over onto the left-hand side to get the best possible angle into turn 4. You can see the marshals this morning are out, just clearing those little bits of debris, just making sure there's no stones or rocks or anything in the way for the drivers, and preparing the circuit for race day today. And this is Top Bend, the furthest part away from the paddock of the circuit. Another long right-hander, and there is an opportunity to overtake here for the drivers that can hang on to the inside line as they come off the loop and just effectively drive up the inside. But this is another fast sort of mid-range corner for the drivers. Two things to consider here. One is how aggressive this curb is on the inside. It goes from being quite a balanced curb here to having these big drops in it here. It becomes a sausage curb effectively halfway around the corner. So the drivers that do catch this inside curb are in for a bumpy ride. The other aspect here is if you look really down, if we can try and get down onto the circuit here, you can see how it started to come away and crack. This is an old historic kart circuit. It's been here for years. And the surface is quite coarse, and it has just started to break up on the inside. So from a tyre wear perspective, this does run the risk of effectively just causing that little bit of extra tyre wear, especially if the weather's changeable today. If we go on to wet tyres in drying conditions, these little cracks in the circuit, there's some more here, they will chew the tyres. They will make tyre wear really critical for the drivers and something that they might have to manage. And drivers will want to get the best possible line, the best run, the most momentum out of top bend. Because if you look from here, it's quite a long way all the way down into the dogleg. There's a little right-handed kink, as you can see. But effectively, this is an opportunity to get right into the slipstream, to tuck right in behind your opposition and try and get the inside line into one of the harder braking zones here at Little Rissington. So the dogleg then, this is a hard left. You're coming off a really fast section of the circuit, down through that little right-handed kink, all the way down into here. The circuit slopes away from you as well, and it's a hard left. The reason it's a hard left is because you need to get the kart back onto the left-hand side for the right on the way out. So these drivers really cut this corner. There's a nice little reference point here, actually, a nice little triangle where the white line's been painted on. So you're effectively looking to put your left tyre, your left inside front tyre into this little triangle. That's your apex point, and then get as much of the steering on as you possibly can from a nice wide start to get you over onto this left hand side. The reason for that is if you end up over here on the right, you're making that corner significantly tighter than it needs to be. And the most important thing here is you're about to go through middle and bottom bend, and they're fast momentum-based corners which take you back onto the start of a new lap. So if you make a mess of this, it might be till the start-finish straight when you regather some of that pace, when you regather that speed, you build it back up again, you have to start another lap. So drivers really want to get as much momentum. Yes, it is an overtaking opportunity of sorts, but really this is about momentum, exit speed, through those fast bottom and middle bends and into a new lap. And it's worth just looking at some of these reference points. What drivers will do is they'll have little guides. I know Andy goes and does a track walk with the drivers on the Saturday of a race weekend, and they'll talk about reference points. They'll talk about you need to be here. And drivers, when you're sat low and you think how low these drivers are in terms of the kart, that they are looking all the time, having that awareness of where those reference points are. We spoke about that little triangle, those little white lines. There's one here as well. Just the faded white line is your exit point. That's the point where we want to get to. We're coming from wide onto the left, trying to hit this exit point, and ultimately the best way to drive quickly around a kart circuit like this is try and make corners into straight lines. So if you can get high on the exit, that effectively from there to here is a straight line. If you have to come all the way around this corner, it's obviously slower to do that than to set the kart up early for the way into the corner to make it as straight as possible. So bottom and middle bend, now in the dry, these are pretty much flat out. They are off camber. If you get really nice and low, you can see how they start low and actually start to rise. This is the lowest point of the circuit, and it will start to come up and climb ever so slightly back up to start finish. This is fast. I had an off here in 1999. I seized a 125 kart and ended up in that field somewhere all those years ago. So it just gives you an indication of how quick it can be. In the wet, and we are expecting some rain later today, this is treacherous, it's slippy, it's sloping away from you, it's then coming up the hill a little bit. It's lots of different cambers, lots of different things for the driver to consider as they come into here in the wet weather. In dry conditions, we'll be racing line nice and tight, letting the kart flow out onto the rumble strip on the exit. In the wet, expect drivers to be more over here, away from that racing line where the rubber is, trying to pick up some of those marbles, trying to pick up a little bit more grip with the wet tyre as they drive on and up into middle bend. So middle bend then, we're coming towards the end of the lap, and this is flat out again, so they'll come quickly through bottom bend here, they'll come up towards middle bend, and it just sort of fires them into the corner. It comes up the hill and in, they carry lots of momentum. It's a fairly straightforward corner for the drivers. They won't spend too much time worrying about the line through here. It's basically keep the throttle planted and hold on as it takes you up towards the outside of the corner. The job then is to get back onto the right hand side, for the elbow, the final stage of this Rissington circuit. So this is just about consistency, momentum, no mistakes through here, nice, neat and tidy. The other thing is just be aware of anything offline. You can see how the freshly cut grass here at Rissington's just started to come onto the exit of the circuit. It's still really wet here as well. Still really wet out here this morning, and it is cold, so we're not going to get much dry on here. It's cold, it's damp, we are expecting some rain. The drivers on the racing line, of course, they'll clean this up. They'll clean all these little dark patches up this morning. They'll get them a little bit better, a little bit drier with their slick tyres as they put sort of more energy and more carts go around. But this bit here, this could still be wet. Even if there was no rain, this could still be wet by 3 o'clock this afternoon. So anybody offline here into Middle Bend, they could find themselves in some trouble. So the final couple of corners here at Little Rissington start with the elbow, this 90 left, and drivers will come in. You can almost see the rubber and the racing line from on the circuit there. They'll want to come in nice and wide, carry as much speed as they possibly can do onto the inside of the circuit, let the kart roll, and then you can almost see the line there, can't you? They go out to the outside of the circuit, they then come back over to the left, and it's a flat out left, flat out right that takes them all the way up to the top of probably the best overtaking opportunity as well. There is a chance in here for some last lap dive, some last lap, get down the inside, try and make a move stick, but it is quite a quick corner, as all the corners here are at Little Rissington on a real powerful circuit, a real fast circuit. So there is a chance, but you need a great run off Middle Bend to get down the inside into the elbow and have that last drag race up towards the line. And that's it. That is a lap of Little Rissington. Lots to keep the drivers occupied, lots of concentration required here, because a little mistake usually hurts you for 3 or 4 corners until you can build that speed back up. We were here a few months ago in the blistering heat. This is a different proposition for the drivers. It's damp, it's really cold. There is rain threatened for this afternoon, and the track conditions could be changeable. Drivers, mechanics, parents, helpers, they're all going to have to find the right setup here for a different sort of challenge to what we had a few months ago. The championship is tight. We have 2 rounds left to go in this series. Let's see how our 3 classes get on in qualifying. So the challenge for these drivers then is obviously they need to have a good look at the weather. We've got DRS100s on the grid, preparing for their qualifying session. It's due off around 5 past, so around 12 minutes to go until that session. A lot can happen in 12 minutes. Just looking at the moment, none of the drivers are actually on the dummy grid now. The reason for that is once you get onto the dummy grid, you cannot make those tyre changes. So they're all just parked up at the moment outside of the dummy grid. All the karts are on stands. And we're just waiting to see what happens with the weather. The wind is still howling here. It goes right across the start-finish line. So I wonder if anybody will take a bit of a risk here. I mean, obviously, if they all head out on slick tyres and it's dry at the start of the session, those initial lap times are going to be the fastest anyway. So it might be the driver that can hook a lap up in the quickest possible time here. That could do the job. If it starts to rain during the qualifying session, we might as well knock it on the head because nobody's going to go any faster. They'll probably all dive into the pits anyway. But if it starts wet, it could be very different, could be changeable here. Looking out of we've got a commentary position right on the start-finish line. I can look out of the window here and just see that all the drivers prepared. They've all got bags of wet tyres ready, the grooved wet tyre. They're all ready to make that change should they need to. Nobody's taken the jump onto the dummy grid as yet, and there's no need for them to do that either. So we've had a few of these this year, haven't we, in the Daniel Ricciardo series? A few of these changeable moments, a few of these decisions to be made. We saw it at Wilton Mill where it was very changeable in the early part of the day. Some drivers took a risk, took a chance, and jumped onto an alternate tyre to the rest. but no change. I'm not seeing any umbrellas as yet, although I'm not sure an umbrella would survive the gale that's going on out there at the moment. Just going to put my head out of here and just see if we've got any rain at the moment. It's certainly in the air, it's certainly a swirling breeze, and I can just feel a few spots of rain out here at the moment. So now there is a decision to make. We've got 10 minutes before this session starts. We've got 10 minutes before the DRS100s come onto the circuit. How do they play this? There's a lot of fingers in the air and looking around and trying to second guess what happens here. Of course, remember, it's a 10-minute qualifying session, so in theory they don't have to go out at the start of the session, but I think the start of the session might be the driest period of the session, if I'm honest. So they're going to have to make a judgment call here. They've probably got a few minutes to do it. You can change a set of tyres on any kart in, you know, literally 2, 3, 4 minutes. So the speed isn't really the issue. The issue is trying to make the right choice. It's certainly brighter to one side. You can see the spots of rain there on the camera on the dummy grid. You can see the wind as well. Look at the flags and how breezy and gusty it is out there. That probably lends itself to changeable conditions. The cloud cover moves quickly. But certainly some spots of rain. Nothing to suggest that you would go full wet at the moment. Nothing to suggest that there would need to be a tyre temperature. Tyre change. What I would say is that drivers need to get as much temperature into these slick tyres and get a lap in the bank. They need to get a lap on the board as quickly as they possibly can do, to ensure that when the rain, or when or if the rain does come, they've got that lap in the bank, which will serve them well further down the line. Of course, here they come onto the grid then. So from here I can see we are on the slick tyre. I think everybody's on the slick tyre. There's some blue sky behind the dummy grid. There is a lot of cloud in the distance, but over us now it's fairly clear. Actually, towards, the only issue is really towards bottom bend and middle bend, and then down towards the elbow there's some dark clouds, there's some very grey clouds. But over on dummy grid, over on start finish line at the top of the circuit, at the loop, it's fairly bright, it has to be said. So another challenge for these drivers, another thing to consider. Here we are then. They look like slick tyres to me. I'll be getting air into those tyres, making them come on quicker. I don't think I'll be taking it out. So they're all there and lined up. There is the odd umbrella, there's the odd spot of rain which you can see on the camera lens. Driver's just trying to work out what to do here. There's the umbrella, another umbrella goes up. A few more spots of rain. I can't see anybody on the wet tyre. I'm sure the cameraman will give us a quick recce through the field, but I can't see anybody on the wet tyre from my vantage point. You can see the wet tyres there on the trolley, ready if needed. There's the 135 there of Maximilian Salarski. He's won a couple of races, hasn't he? Won round one at Houghton Park. He won the last round at Wilton Mill. Probably one of the most entertaining races we've seen for a long time. Mechanics and parents checking tyre pressures. The general rule, the less pressure you put in the tyre, the longer it lasts. There is the number 2 kart of Alicia Parmolski.
gap between them is, what is it now? It's 23 points between Alicia Palmowski and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. And the issue that Alicia Palmowski has is that she cannot drop any more scores. She missed the second round of the championship, which was here. So it's her first visit to Rissington this year. But she has dropped then those heats and that final, so all those 0 scores she's washed away, but she's got to count every single score from here on in to the end of round 6. Advantage of dropping a couple of his worst finishes, although he has got a 17th, a 19th from round 1, which I'm sure you'll want to drop. You won't want to count that if you possibly can do. So we're all on the slick tyre. This will be a race to get out there. There'll be nobody waiting here. There'll be nobody hanging on to see what the weather does. They'll all be out, and they'll all be out quickly because they'll need to get a time on the board. So don't expect much gamesmanship here. Expect them all to sprint out and get around this Rissington circuit as quickly as they possibly can do. There is the 152 cart. The 152, the rookie of Ethan Critchley. 11th in the championship for Ethan, 812 points, about 120, 130 points behind Rowan Campbell-Pilling. Charlie Radford, the 121 there, is the leading rookie driver, 6th in the championship, but the best of the rookies so far. Umbrellas have gone down, haven't they? So expect this. What have we got now? We've got just around about 3 minutes until this session starts. This will be a sprint to get out there. There'll be no hanging around here. Blue skies over the dummy grid. But right above us, there is still some ominous looking grey clouds. The DRS100s then ready for their qualifying session. There is Maximilian Salarski, a double race winner this year already. The 155 of Kai Newman at the front of this field as well, ready to get out there. There is Rowan Campbell-Pilling, championship leader, race winner here for round 2. 2 second place finishes have backed that up, backed that form up, and kept him at the top of the standings. Alongside him there, the 144 of Freddie Cox. You'll see the drivers, some of the drivers are wearing a wetsuit, which is there's a lot of clear ones nowadays, isn't there? It's effectively a clear, it's like plasticky, rubbery texture. And it basically keeps the drivers dry. Actually, wetsuits do a rubbish job. They don't keep drivers very dry at all. But they do help to protect from the wind. They do offer a minimal amount of resistance from the rain, I suppose. But ultimately, when you're travelling around at speeds of 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, then there's not an awful lot that's going to keep you dry from rain if it's raining. So we're just a moment away then from the DRS100 qualifying. Very little action going on down on the dummy grid at the moment. Everyone's settled with their setup, settled with their tyre choice, and ready for the start of this session. The dummy grid marshal opens up the gate. Surely they're all going to sprint out. Surely. Rowan Campbell-Pilling's not even in his car, so he's maybe not. Certainly if this was me, I'd be out there. I would want to be out there. If it's changeable weather, if there's a risk of rain, you need to get out there before that rain and put a time on the board. Forecast says it's due rain now. Due rain now. It's actually dropped from 90% chance of rain to 40% chance of rain the next hour, it says now. Charlie Radford just struggling to get started. mechanic comes in to help. Have they got it going? Oh, nearly. There you go. He's off. And no, he's not. Yes, he is. Ratford is involved and back off. Now, let's see who hasn't gone out there. So, Pamovski's just gone out behind Ratford. There goes Sherry-Ann Powell behind him. Who is left on the dummy grid? There is a couple that are still left on the dummy grid. I'm just seeing the number 9 of Sam Halley-Hinksman. Just joined us. So who is left down there? There's at least 1 or 2. There's definitely the number 5 of Dylan Briley. So Briley's not joined in just yet. I think they're just trying to get themselves some clear air at the moment. So they're all going to come out, I think, on this first lap. But they're all trying to get themselves a little bit of space. Has Ron Campbell-Pilling joined us yet? Let's have a quick look and see where he is. So the first couple of laps here could be really key. A couple more just joining us now. 152 of Ethan Critchley's just come onto circuit. The start marshal still has the gates open of the dummy grid, so there is still a couple of drivers, Briley's one of them, that haven't come onto circuit as yet. We've got a yellow flag at the bottom of the circuit as well. Who's that for? There's got one driver right at the bottom of the circuit on the way into the pit lane by the looks of it. See if we can pick up who that is. It's somebody who's trying to come round. They're trying to get going and get restarted. They are going to come past us in a moment. Let's just see who this is as they come back into view. It's the 9. So the 9 of Sam Halley-Hinksman had some sort of problem, didn't he, there? Just couldn't get going, couldn't get it started. So, drivers have completed 2 flying laps. Fastest driver on circuit at the moment is the 157 of River Welsh, who was, until Daniel Weir has gone faster, the 142. So Daniel Weir is the fastest on circuit at the moment. Pawlowski's 3rd fastest, because completed 1 lap so far. Right, where's everybody else at? Who's playing a waiting game? Here comes Pawlowski to complete a lap. Does she go faster? Yes, 2nd fastest. Oscar Walmsley-Jones. Then Ratford goes fastest. Then Freddie Cox, 2nd fastest. Sherry-Ann Powell, 3rd fastest. It's all change. River Welsh back up to 5th. And Oscar Walmsley-Jones up to 6th. So all change in these early stages. There's a lot of these DRS100 drivers, and very competitive a class it is as well. 20 of them here this weekend. The only driver we haven't seen on circuit yet, I think, is Briley, who's just gone on. But where is Rowan Campbell-Pilling? Is he out there at the moment? He's not crossed the timing beam as yet. See, the issue now is if it just dumps some rain down now, Rowan Campbell-Pilling's in big trouble, because he's not going to have completed a lap. He will be the slowest driver because he won't be able to go faster than these guys in the wet. So it's a risk. What I would say is it's maybe a calculated risk, because it certainly has brightened up in the last couple of minutes here. I can see Campbell-Pilling. I can see his helmet, the yellow and red helmet. He's not even in his cart at the moment. I don't think there's a problem. They don't seem to have any urgency to go and fix anything. I don't think there's a problem with him going out there. We're just seeing the 135. So Salarski's just come out as well. So Maximilian Salarski is the other driver who hadn't come onto circuit. As we look now to Alicia Parmowski, who is 5th fastest, just been demoted to 5th by Sam Halley-Hinksman, who's up into 4th, and Henry Foote is 3rd, and Charlie Ratford is 2nd, and Freddie Cox now leads the way, 43.6 for Freddie Cox, as Ethan Critchley goes up into 4th. Sherry-Ann Powell is down in 11th at the moment. Was really impressive here, wasn't she, in round 2? Came on really strong in round 4 as well a couple of weeks ago at Wilton Mill in the final. Bryn Calder up into 5th. as Sherry-Ann Powell moves up to 9th, so makes a couple of places. So what have we got now? We've got 4.5 minutes left. So where is and when is Rowan Campbell-Pilling going to enter this battle? I can see a mechanic just down there, just trying to see at which point he should enter the circuit. He's entering the circuit now, so that's them all out. So 22, 23 DRS100 drivers on circuit. Fastest of them so far is Freddie Cox, but we now have the championship leader on circuit. Let's see how quickly he goes around this Rissington circuit. So at the moment, it's Cox, Daniel Weir, Henry Foote, Charlie Radford, Bryn Calder, Ethan Critchley, Sam Halley-Hicksman, Alicia Palmovsky is down in 9th. Solarski on his first flying lap is 7th. So up to 7th. So Freddie Cox then fastest. He's completed 7 laps. Now there is going to be a tyre degradation consideration here, as we have a driver stopped on the way into the final corner. Can't pick the number. 142. So Daniel Weir, 3rd place. Daniel Weir has stopped on the way out. It's not in the best of positions, that one. Might need to get that recovered into a safer area. There is waved yellow flags now on the way into the elbow as Andy Cox goes over, and they will have to move that into some sort of safe place as Andy Cox picks that up and will... Oh, he's got a chain off. You can see the chain hanging down there, so he's thrown off the chain. And that is the danger we spoke about in the track walk this morning. That is the danger of these curbs. They are quite aggressive curbs here, really old-fashioned racetrack curbs here. And if you do get on them in the wrong place at the wrong time, it can mean that you throw off a chain, which is exactly what's happened to Daniel Weir, and he will now not be able to affect his fastest lap time, and he's already dropped one down to 4th because Ethan Critchley has gone fastest. Now what has the championship leader got? Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He's done his first flying lap, only good enough for 14th at the moment. So wide open, isn't it? Yeah. Championship 2nd place down in 10th. Alicia Palmovsky down in 10th at the moment. 3rd in the championship, Maximilian Solarski, only good enough for 8th at the moment. 4th in the championship, Dylan Briley, only good enough for 11th at the moment. So really interesting stuff here. Shows the competitiveness of this category as well, as Campbell-Pilling goes fastest, 43.4, some 10th and a half quicker than Ethan Critchley. Rowan Campbell-Pilling goes out and on his 2nd lap does the fastest lap of the session so far. Solarski up to 4th. So Maximilian Solarski up to 4th. So it's Rowan Campbell-Pilling, Ethan Critchley 2nd, Freddie Cox 3rd, Maximilian Solarski is 4th, Henry Foote is 5th, Daniel Weir is 6th, not going to get any better than that. Charlie Radford is 7th, Bryn Calder is 8th, and Oscar Walmsley-Jones is 9th. Halley-Hicksman is 10th, Alicia Palmovsky 11th, Dylan Briley 12th. So have those two got something else up their sleeve? Sherry-Ann Powell 13th. Would expect all 3 of those drivers to be a little bit further up the field as Briley does go better. He goes up to 8th on his last lap. So this could work out perfectly for Rowan Campbell-Pilling, because if he can hold on to that top spot, he's also going to have less time in his tyres than some of the other drivers out there. So that risk of not coming out early, making sure or hoping that the weather held off, seems to have paid dividends for the 108, the championship leader, Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He's just done another 43.4, but it's not quicker than his fastest lap of the race so far. So we've got some 30 seconds plus that one final lap. This is not a good qualifying session for Palmovsky. It's not a good qualifying session for Dylan Briley at the moment. So those drivers that are in the championship mix, not quite got the pace out there at the moment. Palmovsky has just done a 44.4, so she's 6/10 slower than her fastest lap and some 4/10 slower than the leader, the qualifying leader, the championship leader, Rowan Campbell-Pilling at the moment. There is the flag. So Campbell-Pilling has done his last lap. 43.4. Can anybody go quicker then? Let's see if anybody improves in these closing stages. Here is Briley. Does he go quicker? No. Few more just coming through. James Kochelek in 17th place. Here comes the 144 of Cox. Does he go faster? No. Salarski does his personal best of 43.6, but it doesn't improve his position. There goes Pamovsky. No faster for her either. So, the only drivers that have still got to come round and complete a flying lap are Ethan Critchley, who the 152, who I think may have already dived into the pits. I think Henry Foote has done the same. Daniel Weir only completed 6 laps. He was the driver who was off on the way into the final corner. So the way it stands then, subject to any post-race checks of course, is that Rowan Campbell-Pilling is the fastest of the DRS100 qualifiers. Ethan Critchley second, some a tenth and a half, nearly 0.2 of a second slower. Freddie Cox third, Maximilian Salarski is fourth, Henry Foote is fifth, Daniel Weir is sixth, Charlie Ratford is seventh, Dylan Briley in 8th place, Bryn Calder in 9th, and Oscar Walmsley-Jones in 10th, Sam Halley-Hicksman 11th, Alicia Palmovsky down in 12th, Tristan Powell 13th, Sherianne Powell down in 14th place, and then Maximilian Reid and Riven Welsh, who was the early pace setter, finished off in 16th. So that is the order. The weather has changed for the better. There's still loads of dark clouds around, but the sun is shining above us at the moment. We have some blue sky in the immediate proximity. The forecast tells us that we are still expecting rain between now and 1 o'clock, but only a 40% chance of rain, and it's only going to be showers. So, might just get away with this in terms of the weather. And that is our 3 qualifying sessions complete. So 3 qualifying sessions, 3 lots of best timed laps, 3 lots of championship points, 3 lots of grid positions, ready for the first heats of the day. All 3 of these classes will compete in 1 heat in the remainder of the morning. Then we have a break for the 2 finals this afternoon for each class. The first of those heats is for the DRS62s, scheduled for just around about 12:30. And we'll be back with you in a few minutes' time. We'll be down on the grid to speak to some of the DRS62 drivers, and we'll see you then. So we're at the top of the dummy grid because there's a hive of activity, or well, not yet there isn't, but there could be a hive of activity here because it is just starting to rain in the paddock. Now the question is, will any of these DRS100 drivers be brave enough to go for the wet tyre? It is certainly, well, showery, overcast. It's a bit dark, certainly over in that direction it's a bit dark. You can see from the tent here how blustery it is and how it's blowing a gale. I'm very keen to see what the drivers decide to do here. It's probably certainly not wet enough yet to make that decision. I'm going to try and grab 1 or 2. They are going to be forced onto the dummy grid. These guys will be forced to come onto the dummy grid in just a few moments because the race is scheduled to go off in 7 minutes. So we will see a lot of drivers come past us in a moment because they have to come past us. They have to get themselves onto the grid. So from now they can't change tyres. So if they want to change tyres, they've got to go back off the grid, do the work and come back on. But certainly these drivers undoubtedly are having a few nervous moments while they decide what tyre to go for. I'm going to grab Freddie Cox if I can. He's just walked past us here to be one of the first to come down onto the dummy grid. He's going to come and plonk that kart down on the inside of the second row. So we'll let him disembark that kart. We'll grab the trolley for him.
Thank you.
Freddie, if we can just grab a quick moment. What are you expecting here? It looks like it's about to pour down.
No idea.
Does rain work for you?
Sort of. I mean, when I'm on slicks, haven't had that much practice, but it's a lot heavier than it was in qualifying now. So
I think if this had been 5 minutes ago, I think quite a few would have gone for the wet tyre, would they?
yeah, 100%.
And in terms of the championship, we're having a look at the standings. Obviously ninth at the moment, but not a million miles away from getting certainly significantly higher up there. Your issue, I suppose, that you've dropped all your worst scores because you weren't here at a round.
Yeah, obviously I missed Rissington last time for isolating, and at Clay Pigeon we had a problem in qualifying, so that was a tough round as well, but hopefully we'll make it back up.
And a good place to be in terms of, you know, the inside of the second row. You can potentially follow the leader through and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the plan really.
Excellent, wish you all the best. We're just going to try and grab a quick chat with Rowan Campbell-Pilling as well. So Rowan, inside the front row, it's a perfect place to be.
Yeah. So just same strategy as last time, pretty much. Letting the track dry out in quali, and hoping for the best, and it paid off this time.
I thought it was a bit of a risk. I liked it. I liked the risk, but I thought obviously the danger was if the rain did come, you wouldn't have had a time in the bank there, would you?
I mean, we could see that there was clear sky on its way. We know which way the wind directions are, courtesy of the flags behind us.
Yeah.
So we saw there was clear sky coming, and you sort of know that it's going to develop, the track's going to get better. So just taking that risk happened to pay off.
Yeah, good calculations. Championship-wise, a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of a gap. We won't talk about Wilton because I know you'll have an opinion on it, and I know other people have an opinion on it because you're all racing drivers and that's the way that the game works. Let's talk about here and now. Let's talk about the weather. Does the rain work for you or not?
I'm happy either way. I don't mind it. We're quick in the wet, we're quick in the dry. I mean, making it dry would be a bit easier, but that's not our decision.
If we were 5 minutes ahead and you were still stood out there outside of Parc Fermé, would you go for the wets now?
No.
You'd stay on the dries.
Yeah, good bit of fun.
Absolutely. All the best for the race. Some interesting stuff. Let's just see if we can just grab. We've got a couple of minutes. Let's just see who else we can grab on the grid as well. Let's speak to Ethan Critchley on the outside of the front row. Ethan, the top rookie in qualifying on the outside of the front row. Are you pleased with that as a result?
Yeah, it was a very decent result to be fair. I was happy with top 5, so to be P2 I'm ecstatic, to be honest.
The thing on everyone's lips is the weather. It is raining now, just about. You can see the moisture on the karts at the moment. Does the weather work for you? Would you rather this disappear very quickly, or does it almost equalise the race with the uncertainty of wet weather?
Yeah, I think the unpredictability will kind of make the pack a bit more even. I think, if it was dry conditions, I think the top 5 would just walk away with it, but it's anyone's race, I suppose. No one really knows what the grip's going to be like, and so, but yeah, the first 2 laps will be quite interesting.
Yeah, it could be dicey out there. Wish you all the best, Ethan, for that race. This could be entertaining. The DRS100s undoubtedly have been the class of entertainment, haven't they, in the last few rounds? It is now undoubtedly raining. Let's just grab Andy for 30 seconds. How does this change the complexion of this race?
Wow. I mean, Matt's obviously the one who's got to decide. So at the moment, everyone's slick. So we just need to see over the next couple of minutes if it's going to carry on. Because obviously, out of safety, then Matt might decide, to change everybody onto wets, which is the fairest thing. So,
if this was 5 minutes ago, would you be on wets now?
No, it's still too close to call for me. Because I think it's going to stop. That's the problem.
And that is the thing, breaking the clouds just above it. It is.
It's so windy, so But yeah, I'm going to have a look.
Okay, so Andy's going to go and have a look. I would be tempted to roll the dice at the moment with the wet tyre. It is certainly going to be very greasy on the surface. It's going to be tough out there on these tyres. The officials do have a decision to make on whether, on safety grounds, we would stop this. I think at the moment you'd let it go and you'll see how they get on in the first couple of laps and go from there. Certainly means the drivers have got a tough challenge ahead of them. They've got to find a way of navigating around this Rissington circuit in the rain. Although I do think there's a break in the clouds, it could stop very quickly. We will wait and see what happens here, but the DRS100s are due on circuit for their first heat in just a few moments' time. So our final heat of the day, as we scamper up from the dummy grid back into our commentary position, the dry and warmth of our commentary position, because this could be very entertaining indeed. The DRS100s have undoubtedly given us some superb racing so far in this DRS series. And it is raining. It is raining out there. It's sort of a windswept shower. It feels like it's coming down quite heavily, but I think probably more to do with the intensity of the wind. All these drivers are on slick tyres, so they are all on the dry weather tyre. I just eavesdropped on Matt, the clerk of the course, who was telling the drivers they will go on the slick tyre. There does look to be quite a significant break in the clouds behind. You can just start to see it there, can't you, above the carts on the dummy grid. It does look to be a break in the clouds. So we're scheduled off in 2 minutes. The race is due out at 1:20. So 2 minutes to go. Are we letting air out the tyres? Is that what they're doing? Trying to make some final adjustments and alterations, and there's drivers that are putting on protective clothing, and not many of them are wearing wetsuits. My suggestion would be that if this was 5 minutes ago, I would have gone for the wet tyre. Personally, I think they're going to find this really slippery out there. It's greasy, and that's probably the worst conditions. It's not full wet. It's just a bit greasy out there. It's there's a top layer of water on the surface now. So this will be interesting. It will be... We're speaking to Ethan Critchley there about how it almost equalises the race. So it makes it very even. Absolute driver ability now. There's nothing to do with power, nothing to do... This is to do with how you can navigate your car around this circuit, around these situations best. Interesting to speak to Rowan Campbell-Pilling that they almost calculated the weather. These young drivers and mechanics are not just there to make the car, to drive the car and make it as competitive. They're also weathermen. They calculated a break in the clouds. They calculated the wind direction. They decided that shorter qualifying session was the way they wanted to go, and it's worked perfectly for them as well. And the other driver we spoke to, Freddie Cox, who was saying that he had to isolate for round 2, which was here at Rissington the last time they were here, so he's got to drop those rounds. He's got to effectively wipe that slate clean, but it means he has to count everything that is, every score that he gets. But it won't do him his championship any harm. Up there, third on the grid, good qualifying session for him. There's Sherry-Ann Powell on the inside of the 6th row. Dylan Briley as well on the inside of the 4th row. Still rain in the air, still blustery. I think it has stopped raining. We're due to go. We should have gone a couple of minutes ago. I wonder what's the delay. Oh, I was going to say what's the delay as the dummy grid marshal opens the gate. Right then, go nowhere, because this could be excellent entertainment. Could be exciting stuff, this, from the DRS 100s, the junior drivers. So difficult in these damp conditions on these dry tyres. It's such an uncomfortable position to be in for drivers. They don't like it. It takes away an element of control. They will turn the steering wheel and the car will go straight on, and they'll have to wait and be patient and wait for them to get some sort of mechanical grip from the circuit, and then it will eventually dive into the corner. Then, of course, they've got to stop the back end from kicking out and sliding when all the power from the engine comes through the back tyres, through the back axle. We are still waiting I wonder if we're just having a little break just to get this weather, just to allow this breeze to go. I don't think it's raining down there anymore. But you can see there from the ground how wet the ground is. And that's just come down in the last 5 minutes or so. You can see where the carts have been on the floor there. You can see on your picture there where the cart has been. That's dry, and all around the car is the wet. So it's undoubtedly a really tough task this, and we're just watching the first few corners of Rowan Campbell-Pilling as he tiptoes around the first lap here. This will be really exciting. This is an opportunity for the ones that haven't qualified so well, your Briley's, your Alicia Palmovskis, those sort of drivers that probably didn't have the qualifying session that they wanted or expected. All of a sudden, this could equalise this race for those drivers if they get this right. So, interesting stuff. This will be a really... And the other added element to this is, where the drivers are now, they're going around the old gearbox part of it. So on the first lap, when they get into Middle Bend, when they get into the elbow, that's the first time they've been around that corner. They have not been on that corner on the formation lap. So this is a completely... So expect some fireworks in the elbow first time round, because the drivers literally will never have been through that corner because they don't go through it on the formation lap. So interesting dynamic this. High drama, just as we like it here at the Daniel Ricciardo series. This is the first heat for the DRS100. It's our final heat of the day. From here we go into a break until around about 20 past 2, where we have the first of our pre-finals for the DRS62 drivers. You can see the little bit of spray coming off the rear wheels. Again, they won't have been through the elbow, they won't have been through the dogleg either. So a couple of corners here you've got to really watch out for. The dogleg and the elbow, first lap. Drivers have no prior experience of those two corners. Could be very entertaining indeed. Let's have a look at how they manage it, these young drivers. Highly skilled young men and women. First corner to navigate first. Campbell-Pilling and Critchley, 1 and 2. Freddie Cox is behind them with Henry Foote and Daniel Weir. Here we go. Look pretty good. Do we go first time? Yes, we do. Campbell-Pilling has got the best of the start. A little bit of wheel spin in the first corner he goes and manages to get through. They don't all manage to get through. There is contact further down. Include, I can see Sherry-Ann Powell. I can see a lot of the rookie drivers involved as well as they all rejoin. They're all through the... Now they've all managed to get away by one, I think, on the exit. It'll be interesting to see that again through the first corner. It was probably always going to happen. Such little mechanical grip and so tough to get into that first corner first. Here is the replay of the start again. Look into the midfield. So the leaders managed to get through. A little bit of wheel spin from Campbell-Pilling. Leaders get through okay. And then... what happens a little bit? Oh, a little bit of contact there. There was the contact. It spun everybody else round. Knock on, concertina effect. And there was a few that have had to rejoin at the back of the field. The only one I could identify was Sherry-Ann Powell. But we will get all those drivers as they come back through. Here is Campbell-Pilling who leads. This is how they've sorted themselves out in the first lap. Henry Foote is up into second place. Ethan Critchley, Freddie Cox, Daniel Weir, Oscar Walmsley-Jones, Dylan Briley. Oscar Walmsley-Jones up 3 places. Dylan Briley as well has gone through. Sam Halley-Hicksman has made 1 place. Alicia Palmovski's made 1 place. 9th and 10th are those two. Tuscany Groves up 4 places. He was involved in that initial incident, as was Sherry-Ann Powell, Sam Branston, Riven Welsh. Daniela Sutton was in there as well, I think. Isaac Kite and Archie Cole is the last one to come round. They are slipping and sliding their way through this Rissington circuit. At the moment, Rowan Campbell-Pilling is making the best of the slippery conditions. He is just getting tracked a little bit by Henry Foote. The gap was 1.3 seconds last time. I think it'll be less than that this time. It's now 1.2 seconds, so a new fastest lap of the race for Henry Foote. There goes Critchley with Freddie Cox just tucked in behind him. And then Dylan Briley's made a couple of places. He's taken a place from Daniel Weir and from Oscar Walmsley-Jones as well. And another place gained from Halley-Hicksman and Palmovski, and bring Calder now up into 10th as well. Charlie Ratford's lost 3 places on that last lap, and Tuscany Jones has made a couple as well. down in 18th place. Daniela Sutton is 17th. Sherry-Ann Powell is in 14th at the moment. So they still tiptoe their way around. You can see them manhandling the Daniel Ricciardo kart, trying to find the grippiest parts of the circuit. What have we got that time? Better lap for Campbell Pillin, 51 flat for Henry Foote. Freddie Cox 52.2, and he's up into third place at the expense of Ethan Critchley, who now drops to fourth. He's going to come under pressure from Dylan Briley as well. Calder has got back past Alicia Palmowski up into ninth place. So at the moment, really interesting to see the gap between first and second. A little mistake from Campbell Pillin. He clattered the curb on the way through the dogleg. Might have just cost him a couple of tenths of a second as they head up now towards the elbow. What confidence can Henry Foote take from that as he clatters the curb on the way into the elbow? The gap is certainly smaller than it was before, and these drivers are starting to find a little bit more grip than they did. A 49.3 for Henry Foote, a 49.6 for Campbell Pillin. That mistake did cost him a couple of tenths of a second last time round. So Cock, Critchley, Briley, Walmsley Jones, Hallie Hicksman, Ware, Calder, Palmowski is 10th, Charlie Ratford is 11th, Maximilian Reed 12th, Tristan Powell 13th, Sam Branston 14th, and Sherry-Ann Powell is in 15th place. Archie Coles made a place up into 19th as well. So the front two then, probably made the right decision, the officials, because the weather has changed quite quickly. The wind certainly helps the circuit to dry a lot quicker, and the drivers are now taking pretty much their dry racing line. Good response from Rowan Campbell Pillin. He took that time back away from Henry Foote last time round. 47.9 for him, 48.2 for Henry Foote. And Briley is up past Ethan Critchley into fourth. So the top rookie is now in fifth. Walmsley Jones is sixth. Hallie Hicksman is seventh. Weir, Calder, Palmowski. That's your top 10. As the rest of them stream through to complete another lap. There's no rain now. In fact, there's sunshine here. And Campbell Pillin has just managed to hook it up, hasn't he? He's just managed to find a little bit more grip. He's just managed to get that gap extended between himself and Henry Foote. In terms of the championship, Henry Foote 5th place in the championship, so this second place finish will help him to try and close the gap on Dylan Briley, who's 4th in the championship. Where is Salarski? So where is Maximilian Salarski? So 3rd in the championship. He's not shown on our timing screens at all. Has he not come out for this race? Doesn't look like it, does it? Unless he's had some sort of mechanical problem very early on. Maximilian Salarski is nowhere to be seen here. We'll try and find out where he is and what's happened. We've still got 2 minutes plus a lap of this first heat for the DRS100s. Gap between Campbell Pillin and Foote is just around about a second. Little mistake from Campbell Pillin last time round. Gave 3 tenths back to Henry Foote, but the gap's still a comfortable one. It's still around about a second between first and second. Blue flags then, because Campbell Pillin has got 2 back markers to deal with. Now he'll want these 2 out of the way fairly quickly. The drivers have had to adapt here very quickly to the changing conditions because it was very slippery early on. I think the track has pretty much come back to them completely now. They're all taking the normal dry racing line. They look to be circulating at comparable lap times to the dry. And Campbell Pillin puts in his new fastest lap of the race, 44.8 for Rowan Campbell Pillin. He's managed to get a back marker between himself and Henry Foote as well, which will be useful to him. Cox is 3rd, Briley's 4th, Critchley's 5th, Walmsley Jones, Hallie Hicksman, Ware, Calder and Palmowski. No change in the top 10. Charlie Bradford is 11th, but has done the fastest lap of the race so far. So Charlie Bradford, second rookie on the road, 44.4 for him last time round. So 8 laps complete. We've got a minute plus a lap still to go here. And the race leader has a comfortable advantage over second place Henry Foote. 1.5 seconds last time round, it's 1.5 seconds this time round. And we're seeing personal bests every single lap from these drivers at the moment, which gives you a good indication of how the track is coming back, and the other drivers that will be watching this as well, just to make sure that they're well aware of what's going on out there in terms of track position, track temperature, what the clouds are doing. The forecast here is still for some rain. In fact, the forecast is now saying we'll get more rain at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's ever changing. There is a chance of drizzle in the next hour, the forecast says. We are on our last lap with our race leader, and it is Rowan Campbell-Pilling. We've said that very, very often, haven't we, this season? He's out front. He's got one more back marker to get through. That's probably the only risk he's got here. He's got a 2.3 second advantage now over Henry Foote, who's dropped right off in the last couple of laps. Freddie Cox is still a distant third. Then Briley, Walmsley, Jones, Critchley, Hallie Hicksman, Ware. Palmowski has managed to get past Brincolder. So change for 9th and 10th. But here comes the race leader, who will now be the race winner. Rowan Campbell-Pilling masters the conditions best of all. Henry Foote finishes in second place. A lot of back markers to come through before Freddie Cox, the 144, in third. Dylan Briley holds on for fourth. Oscar Walmsley Jones and Ethan Critchley come through together in fifth and sixth. And Hallie Hicksman in seventh. Weir in eighth. Palmowski in ninth. And Brincolder in eighth place. And that is how they finished the final heat of the day for the DRS 100s, with Rowan Campbell-Pilling backing up his championship lead with another heat win, another maximum heat points to add to his total so far. We'll be back in around about 45 minutes time. We'll be back with you just before 2:25, which is the start of the DRS 62 pre-final. We'll see what the weather is doing at that time as well, but we'll be back with you live on YouTube and Facebook. The Daniel Ricciardo series here for round 5. We'll be back just before 25 to 2. So we're back on the grid for the DRS 100 pre-final. We're going to jump right to the back of the grid. A driver we wouldn't expect to see there, but he is there. Maximilian Solarski is on the outside of the, well, next to back row it is. We're going to try and grab a quick chat with him. Max, this isn't where you want to be, is it? We're going into the pre-final. What's led you being here?
Well, we had a problem in qualifying. I qualified fourth, but I had a snap bracket, which gave me a non-compliance. And then in the pre-final, in the first heat, we were late to the grid because we decided to gamble for the wets. Yep. And yeah, that's caused me to be here.
Because from a championship perspective, there's only 40 points between yourself and the top of the championship. It's not actually an awful lot. The amount of points you get for heats and pre-finals and finals, you've almost got to stick in there, haven't you, and make as many places as you can and just keep yourself in touch.
Yeah, well, it hasn't favoured me in the championship at all, but I'm just going to try and get as many points as I can from now on. So see how it goes.
Yeah, we wish you all the best. And listen, there's a few to be picked off there, isn't there?
Yeah, a few.
Not the easiest circuit to overtake, but I'm sure you'll get through plenty of them. We'll wish him all the best. We'll dive down here as well and just see who's around. I'll tell you what, we'll try and grab Sherry Ann Powell, the 147. She's right in the middle of the field here. Not making the job easy for the man behind the camera, but we'll try and dive in here. Sherry Ann, just grab a moment with you. Really, you were really competitive, really racy when you were here in July, when the temperature was a little bit warmer. What's been the difference this time round?
It's just that last one, it was a bit slippery through half of it, and then when my tyres started gripping, then I got past a couple of people.
Still a chance of rain, would that suit you?
Yeah, but no at the same time.
Yeah, but no at the same time. Interesting. So Sherry Ann Powell saying that she's just struggling for a little bit of grip there. We'll grab Brincolder as well while we're here. Bryn, outside of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th row here, what can you do from here?
Well, we can only go forward. We struggled in Heat 1
when it dried up. So hopefully we can just go forward as we qualified 8th. So
And there's still a chance of rain. Are you looking for some rain?
definitely, we love the rain.
Definitely looking for some rain. I saw him in the hotel last night. I got a telling off because I'd said that his bumper had come off from a mechanical last week. It hadn't, so I blamed Andy Cox. So I'm sure that will go down well as well. We'll grab one more while we're here. We'll grab Sam. Sam, just very briefly, inside of row 4, what can you do from here?
Well, hopefully move forward, to be honest. Inside seems to be the preferable line into turn 1.
Grip, few talking about lack of grip, it being a little bit greener than it was obviously when we were here in the summer, and obviously been a smattering of rain. Are you struggling with grip?
Well, depends what tyre pressures you're running. Compared to everyone else, we're all the same. I wasn't that bad or that good. Everyone was very equal in last session. I think we'll see more in this one, who's where.
And still a chance of rain, would that suit you or not?
Yeah, I think it would.
Yeah, although the ones a little bit further back fancy a bit of rain, don't they? So we'll wish them all the best. The DRS100s are due for their pre-final in just a few moments' time. We'll be back with you then. So the drivers preparing themselves for the off. We spoke to Maximilian Salarski at the back of the field. Certainly not somewhere we would anticipate him being. He's got a job in his hands to keep his championship hopes alive. He needs to try and find a way through as many of these DRS 100 drivers as he can. Pick up as many points as he can. Give himself the best chance of being in and around it for the main final, the grand final for the DRS 100s, which is scheduled off for around about 4:30 this afternoon. From here we look at the grand finals. But before that we've our last of our pre-finals. The pre-final for the DRS 100s. As we said before, still an awful long way to go. A lot of points to be had here. 65 points for a heat win. 62 points for second. 59 for third and so on. But the final, 130 points for the win. 127 for second, 124 for third. A lot of points on offer, especially if you are outside of the first few places, or you have a mechanical problem or an incident and you don't pick up as many points. There can be a big swing very quickly, and the man who will be well aware of that is Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He's on the front row here, inside of the front row. Also leads the championship. He'll have extended his advantage because he had an advantage over Alicia Palmowski of around about, oh, what was it, 23 points? Yeah, 23 points he had an advantage of. That'll be more now because Palmowski was, I think she was 10th in the heat earlier on today, and a little bit further down in qualifying as well. So that advantage will have increased. It's a good start to the day for Rowan Campbell-Pilling. And we go down and speak to the DRS 100 drivers before the main final. We'll try and speak to the drivers involved in the championship. We'll try and grab, again, Rowan Campbell-Pilling. We'll certainly get a conversation with Alicia Palmovsky as well. Dylan Briley will be an interesting chat as well, certainly based on where he is at the moment, because Dylan Briley is probably in a position where he's nothing to lose by being a little bit more aggressive at the moment. He's got some 60 points or so, 62 points I think, between himself and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. The biggest issue for Dylan Briley was the final at Clay Pigeon for round 4. He finished 10th in that. That's one that he'll want to drop, so he'll want to make sure he's higher up than that result. Got a problem for the man we've just been speaking about, Dylan Briley, a problem getting away on the dummy grid, but they are all the way now. So 2 formation laps for the DRS100. Oh, we've got one that hasn't yet started. It's the 148 of Tuscany Groves. Tuscany, who was at the back of the field, just can't get that DRS kart doing what it's meant to do. Can't get the wheels turning. Plenty of people there trying to find the resolution, trying to work out what the problem is. But that looks pretty... well, it looks like a problem, doesn't it? It looks like pretty terminal at the moment. They're not managing to get Tuscany off the grid and into this race. So, Rowan Campbell-Pilling on the front row. Henry Foote, who looked to have the measure of Rowan Campbell-Pilling in the wet conditions. As soon as it dried out, Rowan Campbell-Pilling just cruised away as Tuscany does get restarted and is now in the race. Now, that's probably going to hold up this start here, because the way that Tuscany has come out is half a lap behind everybody else. So, they're probably going to give the opportunity for her to catch up with the rest of the group. They are. I'm just looking at Matt now, the clerk of the course, and looking at his signal to the rest of the group that they'll go round again. So they will do another formation lap. All the drivers signal to each other that that's what's going to happen. So if anything, the wind has picked up. It's much more blustery now. It was already fairly blustery before, but now there's a real gust going across the circuit. I'm just trying to have a look at the clouds in the direction that they are coming from. There's a bit of a mixture of some pretty horrible black stuff and some blue skies. So I think if we do get a shower, it will only be a shower. Interesting that Maximilian Salarski said that they tried to take the gamble on the wet tyre in the first heat and they've missed the grid slot. So they missed their grid entry time, basically, so they weren't allowed out. They are the rules. So I think, has Tuscany Groves joined the back of this field? I think she has. So we're all in position. They're really slow, aren't they, heading up towards going on to the extended circuit here, which is where they'll start. It's a long drag up towards turn 1 here. Campbell-Pilling and Henry Foote front 2. Freddie Cox in behind with Dylan Briley. They're looking at eyeballing each other, but it is the best of the starts again for Campbell-Pilling. He's a master at getting away well, isn't he? Foote very wide. Briley down the inside. Foote just had no traction as he went into the first corner. He slid all the way to the outside. Oh, have we stopped? There's a few with... oh, we have. False start. False start, which will be absolute. That'll be a welcome sight, that green flag with the yellow chevron for Henry Foote, because he turned into the first corner and the kart refused to do as it was told. He slid all the way out to the outside, and Brealey, who made a good start from the outside the second row, nipped up his inside, didn't manage to make it stick, and now we have all slowed back down and we're going to go again. I wonder why that was. I wonder if they just thought that Campbell-Pilling had got the jump. Never see anyone from the outside get the jump. I don't know why they're a little bit more, just take a risk. What's the worst that's going to happen? They'll send you around again on a false start. I get that it's gamesmanship, but listen, you take every advantage you can to try and win races and try and get on top of these starts. They are really well formed this time. They do go this time, and he's done it again. Campbell Pilling, he's got a good run. Henry Foote does go to the inside, but he'll get nowhere near. Does he have more traction this time? Just about. Comes under a little bit of pressure from Freddie Cox, but Campbell Pilling it is who's into that first corner first. They're through the left of the loop, up the hill. Henry Foote looks around him. Maybe should spend a little bit more time focusing on getting back on terms with Campbell Pilling rather than worrying about what Freddie Cox is doing at the moment behind him in third place. Quite late on the brakes is Henry Foote through the left hand of the dog leg. That's just allowed Campbell Pilling to scamper away on the exit as they head through middle bend. A little bit of contact further down, and looks like one had Isaac Kite, who looks like he's got a rear bumper failure. Over, start, finish, they go. Campbell Pilling has made the best of the starts. He's made a perfect getaway to a perfect race weekend so far for the championship leader. All the drivers that are chasing, all the ones that want to reel him in, all the ones that want to close him in the championship, they're going to need to find more. They're going to need to find more pace. They're going to need to find more track position. They're going to need to hustle him a little bit more, because at the moment, very similar to Sam Faulkner in the DRS125s, Ron Campbell Pilling is having it pretty much his own way. Here is the incident on the second corner, and there's the contact. I think that's probably, well, it's been spun round as the 155 of Kai Newman. So that's and there's more going on. That's the reason that the 131 of Isaac Kite has lost, or has that back bumper that has dropped. He should receive a technical flag. I'm just seeing one being prepared now. So there'll be a technical flag over start finish for the 155. Is it the 155 or the 131 of Isaac Kite? I'm just waiting for them to put the board into my direction so I can see it. Yes, Isaac Kite will receive a technical flag because that rear bumper is hanging off, and that will need to be repaired. So the leaders then, the gap was 0.8 of a second between Campbell Pilling and Henry Foote. It's now 0.8 of a second, so it's up. In fact, Henry Foote's just done his fastest lap of the race so far, 43.6, but it's been matched by Rowan Campbell Pilling, also a 43.6. Freddie Cox, 43.7 in third place. Then Dylan Briley, the number 5 in fourth place. And Palmowski's made a decent start, hasn't she? Up into 5th place. Oscar Walmsley-Jones is 6th. Sam Halley-Hinksman is 7th, and then Daniel Weir and Ethan Critchley. Where's Bryn Calder? So Bryn Calder's in 11th. He's been overtaken by Sherry-Ann Powell, who started to make a little bit of progress. So here are the leaders then. Oh, just watch Palmowski take a huge chunk of curb through the elbow. Really messy, really sideways through there. Going to need to tidy it up, Alicia, if she's going to try and close this gap onto Dylan Briley in 4th. The gap's, it's probably about 10 or 12 kart lengths at the moment, so it's a big gap for her to get her teeth into, get her head down, try and put some consistent lap times in, try and get back on terms with this group of 4. If anything, the gap has come down between Campbell Pilling and Henry Foote. He's settled into this, Henry Foote, and he's now just managing to put lap times in around about a 10th or so quicker than Rowan Campbell Pilling. 43.3 last time for Foote. Still has a long look over his right shoulder. Don't worry about what's going on behind you, Henry. At the moment, you're making good inroads into Rowan Campbell Pilling. Took another 2/10 out that lap, and he'll smell blood here. And what that might allow is it might allow for Freddie Cox and Dylan Briley to come right into this pre-final as well, because if these two start to scrap up front, Freddie Cox will very quickly ease onto the back bumper of the pair of them, and he's got Briley in close attendance in 4th place as well. 5th then for Palmowski, 6th for Walmsley-Jones, then Halley-Hinksman is 7th, Weir and Powell 8th and 9th, and Calder is up to 10th at the expense of Ethan Critchley. Just keep an eye on Max Salarski as well, up to 15th place, so he's made 7 or 8 places in the early stages here. His next target, I'm just looking down to see where he is in terms of track position. His next target is Bryn Calder. So another place made 14th. Bryn Calder's dropped to 13th on the last lap as well. So something's happened between him and I think either Ware or Critchley in 9th and 10th. Here is the battle for the lead. Rowan Campbell-Pilling, 6 laps complete. It's an 8-minute plus a lap final. These two are cruising away, aren't they? Cruising away from Brierley, who's got past Freddie Cox. What sort of pace has Brierley got? What sort of pace has Henry Foote got? Well, he's got pace to get onto the back bumper of the leader. And he had a little look down the inside as well. Here is a penalty for Ethan Critchley, and there is who is the nine? Is that Hallie Hinksman? It is. Sam Hallie Hinksman out of this pre-final. Spoke to him on the grid. You certainly want some rain now before the main final, that's for sure. So, here is the leaders and a new race leader, and that new race leader is Henry Foote. He's managed to find a way past Rowan Campbell-Pilling, and it was on the inside down into the dogleg. Well executed as well. A little bit of opposite lock as he dives down the inside. So the two of them absolutely together. Just keep an eye. Well, keep an eye on a few things. Keep an eye on Brierley, because if these two scrap, Brierley will get on terms with them. He will get onto the back bumper of the two of them. Keep an eye on Palmovsky as well, because she's putting in lap times now which are some 3/10 quicker than the race leaders. So Palmovsky is on a charge in 5th place. Her next target is Freddie Cox. Wouldn't it be good if we can get all 5 of these nice and tightly bunched together? That could be one to happen in the main final later on this afternoon. 4:30 for those looking to tune in to the DRS 100 main final. Here are the leaders. And if anything, Henry Foote is just starting to cruise away from Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He's got himself a 2-car length advantage as Henry. Doing a stellar job at the front as he goes through the loop into top bend. This long right-hander, a little bit wide. Has another little look over his right shoulder. Heads all the way down to the dogleg. 3rd for Brierley, 4th for Cox, 5th for Palmovsky, then Sherry-Ann Powell. So we talked to Sherry-Ann Powell about her being pretty racy. She's going to lose a place there though. So we talked to Sherry-Ann Powell about her being pretty racy when we were here in July. She said she struggled for grip a little bit more than she did in July. We're just in a little mistake as well from Henry Foote through the elbow, and that's allowed for Campbell-Pilling to get right onto the back bumper. Will he attack as they go into the left? He will. Down the inside he goes. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them. Foote tries to hold it around the outside. He'll have the inside line for the right-hander, and he does hold on to that place, and that means that Campbell-Pilling cannot find a way through. He had a dive down the inside into the loop, but couldn't make it stick. Now then, Brierley will be taking a lot of confidence from this. He'll be taking a lot from the fact that he's getting a little bit closer, and they're fighting through middle bend, these two, and retakes the lead, does Rowan Campbell-Pilling, and Foote goes all kinds of wide as well. He's made a couple of mistakes here. It's almost like he's lost all traction, Henry Foote. He just needs to gather his composure again. He was really untidy through the left-hander of the dogleg, and that allowed for Campbell-Pilling just to get closer and closer and closer. He's wide again, Henry Foote. I wonder if he's cooked the tyres. I wonder if it's just completely gone off the Daniel Ricciardo car, whether he's just got the setup wrong, and it was set to come on so early that he did get on terms with the race leader, but all of a sudden he just looks really ragged. He looks really out of sorts in terms of his lines. Here is the move. He's just got loads of understeer. His hands are really low on the wheel as well. He had this was the move down the inside where he manages to hold on. Is the contact there? Little tiny bit, I think. Not that much doing. Probably nothing for the officials to work out. But Campbell-Pilling then made his move with a lap or so ago, and he's gone on to win the pre-final for the DRS 100s. Campbell-Pilling, Henry Foote, that was the move. Just a nothing move into an area where you usually wouldn't really see overtaking get done in middle bend, but he was so wide, Henry Foote. It's almost like the tyres just gave up on him with 2 laps to go. We'll have a chat with him later on and see what his view was. But it's another perfect result for the 108 of Rowan Campbell-Pilling. 2nd place for Henry Foote. There was no change further back with Dylan Brierley, but Alicia Palmovsky did manage to find a way past Freddie Cox in the closing stages. What a good drive from Sherry-Ann Powell as well, up into 6th. Oscar Walmsley-Jones 7th. Ethan Critchley 8th. Daniel Weir is 9th. Charlie Radford got made up a couple of places into 10th. And Max Salarski all the way up from the back of the field to 11th place. And that is the 3 of our pre-finals complete. And now we are at the business end of proceedings. The main finals, 3 of them, the first of which is in around 10 minutes time with the DRS62s. And we'll be down on the grid in a few moments' time to have a chat to some of those drivers. And the final race of the day then, the DRS100s for their grand final. We are going to try and speak championship to a few and see where they feel they are in the grand scheme of things. But before we do that, I want to grab a quick chat with Henry Foote down here. Henry, certainly looked like you had the measure of him, and all of a sudden it seemed like you lost loads of grip in the last couple of laps of the race. What happened?
I think it was just my mistake into the dog's leg. I locked up the rears and I think I just overheated them a bit, meaning that I just lost all my rear grip in the end.
And at Rissington here, it's a momentum circuit, isn't it? And once you lose that momentum, it can take you a little while to get it back.
Yeah, I couldn't get it. I tried to cover off the inside, as you probably saw, coming through the double right, but I just left that tiny bit of room that he just managed to get me back out.
But it must give you, lots of confidence, lots of belief that you've got the measure here and that you have got a great chance of winning this final.
I don't know. We'll see what comes. I might win, might not. It's just about however the race goes and whether luck's on my side.
All the best. A very philosophical approach there. We're going to try and grab some more drivers as we go. I wanted to speak to Dylan Briley, but he's not here. And we'll see if we can catch up with him when he comes back round. I want to grab a quick chat. We'll grab a quick chat with Daniel Weir here as well. Daniel, outside of row 3, what can you do from here?
Hopefully push forward and get in the top 4.
Top 4, that's the target?
Yeah, or podium.
Absolutely, we wish you all the best. We'll just nip back one more. We'll speak to Alicia Pawlowski here. Alicia, let's talk championship. Obviously the missed round is going to hurt you at the moment, but you've still got to believe, haven't you? And a lot of things can happen, and the points deficit isn't actually that big. So with having so many points for a heat and so many points for a final, you're still absolutely in it until the end. Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah, it's been very unfortunate today. We took multiple gambles today, which unfortunately haven't paid off. So, but we finally found some pace in the last race. So I'm just taking the championship-wise, just taking it race by race and just focusing on this next race, hoping to carry the momentum forward. And
I said earlier on when I spoke to Rowan that I wasn't going to ask the question about Wilton, and I won't ask you the question either, because I know you're all racing drivers and you've all got an opinion, and you will stick to that because I'm exactly the same. Outside of row 4 here, what can we do from here?
Just work our way up and just as many positions as possible. So it's a longer race, 4 minutes longer, so just see what happens.
Absolutely, all the best, Alicia, in that. Let's see who we can find Dylan Briley. He's here. Dylan, just very quickly, I'll come round this side of you. Let's talk championship first. So 4th in the championship, you are going to take some points off Max Salarski because he's way back down there at the moment. So you're probably going to be in the top 3. You've still got a chance at this, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm just going to try and get a good start, stay in the mix in the front pack and just try and work as far forward as I can. And
does that come into your equation now that you certainly are top 3 in the championship at the moment? You've still got a chance of winning this. We've still got a round to go at fullback where all kinds of things can happen. Are you thinking about that now, or are you just thinking about this race and getting the best possible outcome?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about this race, getting as many points as I can from a good starting position.
Great stuff. We wish you all the best. The one final thing I want to just show is I'm going to grab Rowan Campbell-Pilling. I'm just going to ask him about this because this is a brand new outside left rear tyre. Rowan, tell me about that.
So after the pre-final, we checked the pressures and the left rear was down by quite a lot. So we got a bucket of water, we dunked it in it, and turned out we had a puncture.
So 1, really lucky I suppose that you found it after the pre-final. 2, how difficult is this going to be, because that's done 40 laps, that's done none. So how do you balance that off?
Not really sure, we're going to have to find out.
and that is the beauty of it, I suppose. I mean, you are in the best place to do that, of course, from the inside of the front row, from a championship perspective, and we've been talking to the other drivers as well about that. Is that in your mind at the moment, or is it just take this race as it is and try and get the most points you can?
Focus on present now, what's happening, and then we'll take it from there.
And see what happens at the end. All the best for the main final. So, interesting stuff then. We've got a brand new rear tyre which could give all kinds of different dynamic to this race. He will have to scrub that in very quickly. It'll have to come up. It will give a different balance to the kart than he's had before during today. So wait and see what happens with that. We've got drivers with championship ambitions and aspirations all the way through this field. The DRS100s generally give us the best type of racing anyway. Could be a crack of this. The DRS100 final is coming up next. So, eyes down then for the final race of the day, the DRS100 Grand Final. So many subplots, so many little interesting pieces of information that bring us to this point. Yes, the championship is the main focus. So interested to see the impact of that brand new left rear tyre on Ron Campbell-Pilling's Daniel Ricciardo kart. It will give a different balance, there's no doubt about that. It's predominantly a clockwise circuit here, so there is a good amount of load that will go through that left rear. It's a left rear, isn't it? Not a right rear. The formation lap's really important to him as well. He needs to get as much energy into that tyre as he possibly can. What will happen is the temperature in the pressure in that tyre, that individual new tyre, will spike quicker than the other tyres because it's brand new. So the other tyres have been through a chemical cycle. They'll all react in a similar time, in a similar way. That left rear will act differently. So if Ron Campbell-Pilling can pull this off and have a clean sweep for the day, I have to say it would be very impressive indeed. He will come under some pressure, we know that from Henry Foote. The guys in the row behind are all very, very capable as well. Got one just driving away a little bit late. So keep your eye out for the likes of Dylan Briley. Still an outside chance at the championship. Ethan Critchley, who's been very competitive this weekend, has a problem on the back straight. And what's happened? Oh, he span. He just lost it. He just seemed to lose it on... Did he put an inside wheel on the gravel? Lost it. There was then contact between him and someone else. And now he can't restart. Right then. Where was Ethan Critchley meant to be on the grid? I think he was certainly in the midfield, and he's been quite competitive in the heat earlier on today. He was very competitive in the qualifying session. That looks terminal though, doesn't it? It looks like they're pulling that away to retire that kart. I wonder if it looked to me, I only saw it very briefly, but it looked to me like a driver error. It looked like he just caught a couple of cold wheels on the inside of the track, spun it round, and then collected another one. Here we go, let's have a look. Oh no, I thought we were getting a replay then. We're not. That's okay. Oh, there. Yeah. He's just braked. He's just braked. The ones in front have braked as well. But he's just got a wheel on the rumble strip and he's just spun it round. But then the contact with whoever the contact has been with has obviously caused some damage that is not repairable. So, Ethan Critchley's afternoon is cut short. Let's look back to the front here. Henry Foote on the outside of Ron Campbell-Pilling. Briley and Freddie Cox. Daniel Weir, Alicia Palmovsky. Bryn Calder, Sam Halley-Hicksman. That is your grid. Here they go. It's the best of the start, certainly for Ron Campbell-Pilling. Can Henry Foote hold on? He's got Cox in behind him in third. Another driver who is very good at getting away quickly is Ron Campbell-Pilling. Can Henry Foote just try and keep hold of him in these opening stages? Just make his life a little bit easier in the next couple. We've got a lot of contact and a lot of drivers off at the left-hander. They're all going to get restarted. One of them was 154, Tristan Powell. But Tristan Powell's going to rejoin at the back of the field. I think everybody else has managed to get going. Here is the leader then. So Ron Campbell-Pilling leads. Just interested to keep having a look at how that Daniel Ricciardo kart is behaving with that new wheel on. How lucky as well for Rowan Campbell-Pilling that they identified the puncher after the race and that he didn't have the puncher in the race and it didn't cause him to have a major problem in the pre-final. So sometimes that little bit of luck is what you need to win championships. Slice of fortune for him. Now, will he come under pressure from Henry Foote, who admitted that he made a little mistake in the dogleg with 2 laps to go of the pre-final. He never really settled down after that. It just allowed for Campbell-Pilling to come back at him and win that pre-final. Over the line they go. There's very little between them. Henry Foote is slightly quicker, a tenth or so, and Cox a 43.4 for him, 43.4 for Campbell-Pilling, 43.3 for Henry Foote. Where is Palmowski? She's not had the best of starts, has she? Alicia Palmowski started on the, where did she start on? No, she started on the outside of row 4. So she's up 1 into 7th place. She said she wanted to tick off as many as she possibly could. She's in not a million miles off Sherry-Ann Powell, who's in 6th place. Here's a replay of that incident. Just a couple that have just spun round, just lost it, and then everyone else, because they're in such close proximity, everyone else has pretty much been collected. So, just keep an eye on Sherry-Ann Powell as well, because she was my driver of the day here at round 2. She came on so strongly towards the end of that race weekend. She had a chance of winning the grand final. And she's currently in 6th, but she's really giving Charlie Ratford a really tough time at the moment. She's looking for a way through. Has she found a way through? Yes, she has, into the dogleg, and she goes up into 5th place, Sherry-Ann Powell. Now, can Palmowski jump onto the back of Ratford as well and find another way through? So really untidy from Alicia there. Clouted the curb through the elbow, threw her out onto the exit of the rumble strip on the exit. Will have cost her a couple of tenths, no doubt about that. Through the right-hander then. Here is the battle for 5th. Sherry-Ann Powell, Ratford behind her, Palmowski behind her. We're back to the front then. There's nothing between them now, is there? Henry Foote's done a good job here. Just closing this gap little by little. Every lap, just edging closer and closer and closer. He's now within 2 kart lengths. Keep an eye on Freddie Cox as well, because once these two start to scrap, and they will do at some point, Freddie Cox could be in the absolute box seat here. Behind them is Briley, who is under all kinds of... I tell you what, keep an eye on Sherry-Ann Powell, because Powell is right onto the back of Briley. She got rid of Ratford really quickly. She's now tucked on the back of Dylan Briley. She must be the fastest driver on the circuit at the moment. She is. 43 flat for Sherry-Ann Powell. Compare that to our race leader, 43.4. She is 0.4 of a second quicker than the race leader, and she is up to 4th. Has Sherry-Ann Powell got a few more moves up her sleeve? She will certainly benefit from these front 2 starting to scrap. She will certainly benefit, but she's got the bit between her teeth, and she's up into 4th. Keep an eye on young Sherry-Ann Powell, one of the youngest drivers in this DRS100 final. Behind her now is Briley. Behind Briley is Charlie Ratford. Behind Ratford is Palmowski in 7th place. Damage limitation for Alicia now as she looks to try and change for the lead. Change for the lead then, because Henry Foote is down the inside and he retakes the lead that he had for a short period of time during the pre-final. Now, can he hold on? Can he keep behind him? Rowan Campbell-Pilling back down the inside, straight away into the elbow, and here comes Freddie Cox as well. Cox is up into 2nd then, so he does take advantage. Look at Sherry-Ann Powell right onto the back of these 4 now. What a race this could line up to be. It is now, there's contact there, I think, between Foote and Cox, and here comes Sherry-Ann Powell. Is she going to take 3rd place away from Freddie Cox? She is, I think, as they go down the hill. So up into 3rd then, and now defensively goes the race leader, Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He defends into the dogleg once more. Long way to go here, boys. Plenty of time for you two to defend, and they are scrapping over it. Here comes Foot back down the inside. Sherry-Ann Powell's on the outside of both of them. Can she make it stick? She switches to the inside. It looks like Campbell Pillin's going to be hung out to dry. He is hung out to dry. He's not going to lose one. He's going to lose two, and he nearly lost one to Freddie Cox as well. Cox then. So now we're going to have 6 carts in this battle. Look at Pawlowski starting to cruise up onto the back of this 6-cart battle for the lead. Tell you what, these DRS100s, they give us a hell of a race, don't they? Down towards the left hand of the dogleg. Henry Foot now leads. Surely the bookie's favourite at the moment is Sherry-Ann Powell, all the way up into second place, and she is tucked right in behind Henry Foot as they head up towards the elbow once more. Foot, Powell, and then the championship leader, Rowan Campbell-Pillin. Here comes Sherry-Ann Powell down the inside. Foot tries to go around the outside and hold her off. Has he held her off? I think he has. And here comes Campbell-Pillin down the inside. Oh, there's contact! Contact between Sherry-Ann Powell. She manages to keep it on the island just about. There was definitely contact between herself and Rowan Campbell-Pillin. It slowed Campbell-Pillin up as well. He's now fallen into the clutches of Freddie Cox, and the rest of them all stream through. Wow. So then, take a breather for a moment. We have still 5 minutes of this DRS 100 race still to go here. This could be anybody's. Absolutely anybody's. There are 7 drivers in contention here. Don't rule out all the way down to Palmowski in 7th place at the moment. Foot is who leads. What are we seeing here? A replay of the left-hander. So here are the leaders then. They're through the right-hander, down the hill towards the dogleg once more. Sherry-Ann Powell just starting to re-establish herself here. She just maybe had to... She got a little bit of a knock from Campbell-Pillin a couple laps ago. It just settled down a little bit. Now she's back on the front foot and back looking at Henry Foot, who gives her a wave as if to say, please don't overtake me. I can tell you for nothing that Sherry-Ann Powell will ignore that completely. If anything, I used to always smell blood when drivers did that in front of me. It told me that they were worried. It told me that they panicked. It told me they didn't want me to find a way past. That gave me the impetus to find a way past. Sherry-Ann Powell in second place then, tucked in behind Henry Foot. There's a contact warning for Campbell-Pillin. That will be from the move a lap ago on Sherry-Ann Powell. Where does Sherry-Ann Powell look to find a way past here? Henry Foot a little bit deep. He's always deep into the left-hander. He always sacrifices a little bit of exit speed, doesn't he, to go a little bit deeper, a little bit faster in. She's right there though this time. Will Sherry-Ann Powell have a look into the right-hander? No. She clips the curb and then heads out, has a little look, glance over her shoulder. All of them absolutely together, these 7. What a race. What a race. And we're coming to the final stages of it now. 3 minutes to go here. Surely this isn't going to top the race we had at Wilton Mill, is it? Sherry-Ann Powell's got a lovely little setup move as she goes into top bend. What she does, she sticks it round the outside of top bend. Now she's going to the outside in the dogleg. She'll try and switch to the inside on the run down. Can she make it stick? It's going to be tight between them. She's not going to make it stick. She has the door firmly shut in her face. And there's contact between Sherry-Ann Powell and Campbell-Pillin. Contact between the both of them. Cox goes up into second. Pillin's off as well. Well, we probably need to see that again. We probably need to see that again to understand if there is any blame to be had. Here we go. Here we go then. Oh, we might see it in a minute. Here we go. So, Sherry-Ann, a little bit wide. Oh, he's down the inside, isn't he? I'm not sure there's much blame for Rowan Campbell-Pillin there. He's made the move. He's already fully alongside. He's down the inside. It's probably Sherry-Ann Powell's to relinquish, I think, on first glance. But something the officials, of course, will look at. For me, not an awful lot in that. Unfortunately, it has the two of them coming to blows. It's probably ruined the race for both of them. In fact, Campbell-Pillin is now back in... Oh, where are you? He's back in 6th place. Where does Sherry-Ann rejoin? In 10th place, right back in 10th. What a shame for young Sherry-Ann Powell. Certainly looked like she was going to be on the ball, didn't she? Certainly looks like she had a great chance. Now the great chance belongs to Henry Foot, Freddie Cox, Charlie Ratford, Dylan Briley, Alicia Palmowski up into 5th place. So there is a little bit of a gap between them. Here comes Palmovsky down the inside of Briley, and Palmovsky is up into 4th. What a result this could be. This could keep a championship alive for Alicia Palmovsky. How many places can she put between herself and Rowan Campbell-Pilling then? How many points can she take away from Campbell-Pilling today in this grand final? Here are your front 3 then. How many laps to go? We've got a minute. Plus, warnings then. Under investigation, 108 and 147. Not surprisingly, Rowan Campbell-Pilling and Sherry-Ann Powell. Campbell-Pilling has recovered into 6th. He's got a big gap between himself and the top 5. But if they do start to squabble, these 5... Right then. What's Freddie Cox got up his sleeve now? He's looking at the back of Henry Foote. He's got Charlie Ratford very close to him. He's got Palmovsky a couple of kart lengths further back. But it's got to be worth a dive, hasn't it? It's got to be worth a go. Go down fighting. Young Freddie, if you're going to have a go, he's great off the left-hander, isn't he? He's so quick off the left-hander of the elbow, and now he tucks right up the back of Henry Foote. Will he have a look into 2? No. He sits in. They go down towards 3, the loop. He's a little bit more narrow. He's got a good run, did Freddie. Now he'll try the undercut and try to get down the inside, down the hill. Don't think there's much happening there. So this is going to be the last lap next time round. So I think if you're going to put a move on, put it on now. If I was Alicia Palmovsky, I'd be thinking if I can get one of these now, and the front 2 fall over each other, I'm having this. Who will be the benefactor of a last lap battle with these DRS100 drivers? Here they go then. 1 to go. Cox is very close. Doesn't manage to get a move on over start finish. Foote, Cox, Ratford, then Palmovsky, and then Briley a little bit further back. It's going to have to be something into the... Surely it's going to have to be something. Oh, he's a little bit wide. Freddie Cox makes a little mistake in the right hand at top bend. It's got to be down into here, surely. He goes narrow, does Foote. He will run the risk of them catching him on the way out. Ratford defends, has to defend from Palmovsky, who might get the run on him. Here comes Palmovsky down the inside. She's got the run on him. A great move from Alicia Palmovsky up into 3rd place. Is there going to be a move at the elbow from Freddie Cox? Here they go then. It's going to have to be here. Can he find a way through? No, he can't. It's going to be Henry Foote. I think he tries the outside. Henry Foote then wins. Freddie Cox is 2nd. What a drive from Palmovsky. Keeps her title hopes alive in 3rd place. 4th for Dylan Briley. Charlie Ratford dropped down to 5th at the end, and there he's he was celebrating before he crossed the line, wasn't he, Henry Foote? Another top class race. And does that blow the championship wide open? Where do we stand with that? The points tally, which you'll be able to get on the Alpha Timing website, of course, in the next couple of days. That will be an interesting read as to where the drivers are in the championship. But Henry Foote has won his first grand final of the season. It's the grand final here at round 5 at Little Rissington. 2nd place to Freddie Cox, 3rd place to Alicia Palmovsky. She'll be absolutely delighted with that result. Dylan Briley into 4th, Charlie Ratford is 5th, Campbell-Pilling recovered into 6th. Is there anything to be said between Campbell-Pilling and Sherry-Ann Powell? There is an investigation going to happen. What will be the outcome of that will be very interesting indeed, and could have a bearing on the championship as well. Just to run through the rest of the placings, Daniel Weir was 7th, Bryn Calder was 8th, Sam Hixman in 9th. What a shame for Sherry-Ann Powell. Certainly looked like she had everything she needed to win the race, certainly had the pace. She finished down in 10th place. Riven Welsh was 11th, James Kochlek in 12th. Maximilian Salarski, a day to forget for him, down in 13th. Daniela Sutton in 14th. Sam Branston in 15th. Kai Newman, Archie Cole, Tristan Powell, Tuscany Groves and Isaac Kite were the remainder of the field. Wow, another great DRS100 final here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Round 5 at Little Rissington. We'll be back with you in a short while, around half an hour's time. There'll be a countdown on the DRS live stream where we will have the presentation in a little while's time, and we'll see you then here at round 5 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series at Little Rissington. And welcome back to round 5 of the Daniel Ricciardo series here at Little Rissington after a fantastic day's racing. We are here with the trophy presentation. We'll start with the DRS62s. In third place, and our top rookie for the day is number 120, Oscar Walsh. In second place, number 4, Jack Robinson. And today's winner, after an excellent recovery drive from a non-finish in the first heat, number 6, Harry Bartle. Ladies and gents, your DRS62 top 3. On to the DRS125s. In third place, number 316, Jack Rigg. In second place, number 8, Elliot Stanley. And a perfect set of results for today's winner, number 283, Sam Faulkner. The DRS125 top 3, ladies and gents. And on to what is rapidly becoming my favourite karting class of all time with the races that we are seeing, the DRS100s, who've produced another fantastic grand final for us here today. In third place, number 138, Henry Foote. Another great recovery drive. In second place, number 2, Alicia Palmowski. And today's winner, number 144, Freddie Cox. And your best rookie for the DRS 100s, number 121 in 5th place for Charlie Ratford. Ladies and gents, your DRS 100 top 3. And that's all from us at a windswept round 5 here at Little Rissington. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time when we head to the grand finale, round 6 of the Daniel Ricciardo series at Fulbeck in Lincolnshire, where we will be crowning 3 brand new Daniel Ricciardo series champions. We'll see you there.